Hello everyone, it's Supra, and what a big concern is, always, for any objective-oriented player is bunching up and not moving. In this video I'm going to discuss why what I'll specifically call the front line is vital to any good team success. First, let's define this so-called front line. The front line, which can also be called the forward line, is the closest position of personnel and equipment to the enemy. In rudimentary terms, in relation to Battlefield, it's the sequence in which the mass equivalent of both teams collide, and what the community likes to more profoundly define as a clusterfuck, and is inevitable for maps like Operation Metro and Operation Locker. These bulks of players are stigmatized for being quote-unquote fascinated by kills, and overall not encouraging very productive gameplay. But the truth is that they are actually sacrificing the flanks and the objectives to the more appropriately skilled players. The front line becomes the push and pull of the match. If there becomes too much of a significant loss in one force without a quick enough reaction, that front line gets overrun and that team gets pushed back to the next objective. Imagine it like the battle for the Xeon in the Matrix. The Sentinels drill a hole into the sphere the Xeon is, and they're pouring out of this hole, and the Xeon's defenses manage to hold it back for a while, and then a few Sentinels manage to get free, and just those Sentinels are enough of a buffer to distract one gun, which is enough for more and more Sentinels to get free, and eventually all the Sentinels surround them. Love that bit, it's great. So the whole reason the front line is vital is because it encourages easier flanking, since numbers are less distributed and instead condense into one area of the map. If the flankers exploit the less defended areas, if they do that, to capture the enemy's objectives, this in turn will either destabilize the front line by distracting players to fall back and fight for the lost objective, resulting in a weaker front line, and it gets overwhelmed by the numbers of the opposing force, or the flankers will approach the enemy's front line from the rear, as a flanker usually does, and slaughter everyone. So, now that we've got the promotional part out of the way, let's discuss the fundamental flaws of a frontline tactic. It needs the numbers to support it. There's no point in most of a 16-player team locking down an area if there aren't enough to support other priorities. It only works as it should on corridor maps or game modes. There is much less sentiment in a front line if it is so easily compromised on open-scaled maps. Stalemates are mundane. When numbers in enemy are lower and more consumable, games result in being much more balanced and hard fought. This is more diverse, therefore interesting, and arguably more entertaining. And lastly, let's not forget, pubs lack brain cells. Public players lack the awareness or motivation to exploit the enemy's weaknesses. This is where the tactic falls flat, so I've sort of spoken a circle, haven't I? Alright, on to the less constructive part of the video, which is going to conclude of 33% of my video because my scripts mean that my videos end up being 3 minutes long. God, I hate being concise. So the last video I made, I talked about how I was going to be all over Rush since they started the DICE Love Rush initiative and they were going to do changes on improving it since, you know, I love Rush as a game mode, it's my favourite game mode. I quickly learned how that falls flat and doesn't hold much purpose, and in any video that I make about the CTE, or anyone makes about the CTE, for the most part at least, the CTE, it's a test environment. You know, there are going to be updates. Sometimes there are updates every day that change things about. And when people make videos on it, and I'll get to that in a bit, it's like literally, if I made a video on Rush and talked about how good these changes were, and then the next day they changed the defenses and the MCOM positions about, then what's the point in that? I don't want to put so much effort, considering how much of a lazy bastard I am already, into a video to have it, you know, fall flat the next day, and there's no point in watching it. The only way I'd envision making videos about the CTE, or at least, you know, the DICE Love Rush initiative changes, is talking about the good and bad placements that they've made for the MCOMs and where good emplacements would be, but at the same time it would be a bit difficult because I don't like to say DICE should do this and DICE should do that. I don't think anyone has the power to say that. But, you know, as far as making a video about these changes go, it's just like, look at these changes. Alright, thanks for watching. How do you think these changes are? That's slowly becoming every fucking video on the internet, so no. So, that concludes this. When have I fucking ended a video like this? So that's all I have to say. Please rate the video and comment and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.